Good morning, children. Children, today we will learn about transpiration in plants. Today we will learn about transpiration in plants. Transpiration in plants. Now, what is transpiration in plants? Transpiration is the evaporation of water molecules in the form of water vapor. That is, in the form of water vapor. It is the evaporation of water vapor from the surface of the leaves and mainly from the stomata. You know what is stomata? It is small pores which is present on the surface of the leaves. So the water is evaporated in the form of water vapor, especially from the stomata which is present on its leaf. Now children, you may wonder why a plant loses water. Plants absorb water for its various activities. Then why does it lose water? So it loses water because it only few parts, some parts of water molecules are not used by the plant, which it loses in the form of transpiration. Plants absorb water and minerals from the soil. You know very well that plants absorb minerals and water from the soil. The plants absorb water and minerals from the soil. Most of the minerals are utilized. The water is not fully used up. And the excess water, or you can say unused water, that needs to be evaporated out from the leaves, from the stomata which is present on its surface. But you know children, transpiration is very beneficial to the plants. Why it is beneficial to the plants? Because it creates a suction pull. What is suction pull? It creates a suction pull which helps water to be transported to greater height in tall trees. Especially in tall trees, it helps to suck water, or you can say pull water, so that it is, you can say that it is just like how we pull water with the help of straw. Isn't it? We are supposed to pull water with the help of straw, or you can say we are supposed to pull cold drinks also with the help of straw. In the same way, water is transported to a taller height into the plants with the help of transpiration. And what is its second function? It helps the plant to lower the body's temperature, especially in summer. That's why it is known as necessary evil. It is known as necessary evil because it helps the plant to lower the body temperature, lower its body temperature, especially in summers. Especially in summers, it helps to lower the temperature of the plant's body. Now children, after transpiration, we will move to the next topic, that is transportation in animals. That is transportation in animals. What is transportation in plants? We have already discussed. Now we will discuss about transportation in animals. Transportation in animals. Now, children, in smaller animals, what happens? The transpiration process is done simply by the diffusion process. But as we will move towards the higher animals, in higher animals, substances. And what are the different things which is needed to be transported? It is digested food. First of all, it is digested food. Then the second one, what is needed to be transported is oxygen. Because we take oxygen, it enters our lungs, you know very well. But the requirement of oxygen is not limited to lungs only. The whole body parts require oxygen to burn food and produce energy. So, oxygen is also needed to be transported. Then the third one is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. It is also needed to be transported. The prepared carbon dioxide is given out from our lungs with the help of transportation process only. Then excretory waste. It is also needed to be transported. Excretory waste. It is also needed to be transported. So these are the different things which is needed to be transported, and in higher animals this is done with the help of the circulatory system. So what does circulatory system consist of? First of all, we will know what does the different parts which comes under circulatory system. So, circulatory system involves number 1, heart, number 2, blood vessels, and number 3 is the blood. So these are the different parts which the circulatory system consists of: the heart, the blood vessels, and the blood. Now let us discuss them in details now. What is heart, what is blood vessels, and what is blood? So we will discuss it one by one. Now the very first one is heart. The very first one is heart. So now children, the heart is an organ which beats continuously. The heart is an organ which beats continuously, that is without stopping, and it pumps the blood, that is to act as a pump. For what? For the transport of blood. Now, and the blood which carries other substances with it also transported along with the blood. So, imagine a pump. You just imagine a pump. Imagine a pump working for years without stopping. Absolutely impossible. Yet your heart works like a pump and it works non-stop. Let us now learn more about the heart. So, where is the heart located? First of all, we will know where the heart is located. It is located in the chest cavity with its lower tip slightly tilted towards the left. So you can see the diagram of heart also. In your book it is given very nicely how the heart is located in the chest cavity, and it is tilted a little bit left towards the left. Now when you will hold your fingers, children, if you will hold your fingers inwards, okay, inwards in this manner, then what will happen? that is towards your palm. Towards your palm. Then the figure which comes in this way, it makes your fist. So your heart is slightly, or you can say roughly, the size of your fist. Okay, your heart is roughly the size of your fist. Now, children, just imagine that what will happen if the blood which is rich in oxygen and the blood which is rich in carbon dioxide, the blood which is here, you see that what will happen if the blood which is rich in oxygen and the blood which is rich in carbon dioxide both gets mixed. What will happen if both the blood will get mixed with each other? It should not be mixed, because the blood which is rich in oxygen is the purified blood, whereas the blood which is rich in carbon dioxide, it is impure blood. So these things should not be mixed, and to avoid this from happening, the heart has 4 chambers. How many chambers does the heart has? It is having 4 chambers. Why it is having 4 chambers? So that the pure blood and impure blood do not get mixed with each other. See children, this is the structure of human heart. The structure of human heart. Here you see the heart is divided into 4 chambers. The human heart is divided into 4 chambers. The upper 2 chambers are called the right and left atrium. See here, right atrium and left atrium. Whereas the lower 2 chambers are known as right ventricle and left ventricle. It is known as right ventricle and left ventricle. And here you see the partition. It completely separates the 2 halves. That is, the ventricle and the right and left ventricle and the left and left ventricle and atrium both are separated by this partition. This partition is known as septum. It is known as septum. It is known as septum. And what happens here, you see the right chambers and the left chambers are separated by muscular wall, which is known as septum, which divides the heart lengthwise into left and right sides. A wall is there which divides the right atrium and right ventricles into 2 parts. Here also a valve is here which divides the left atrium and left ventricles into 2 halves. Now, the right atrium, see here, this is the right atrium. It receives carbon dioxide rich blood from the body. Carbon dioxide rich blood is received from the body in right atrium. That's why its color is blue. And blood from right atrium enters the right ventricles, which contracts and pumps the blood to the lungs. From here, that is from the right atrium, the blood enters into the right ventricles, and what happens? Here it contracts and pumps the blood to the lungs. On the other hand, oxygen-rich blood, which you see the color of oxygen-rich blood is red. Oxygen-rich blood from the lungs returns to the left atrium. From the left atrium, blood enters left ventricle, and left ventricle will contract and pumps the blood to all parts of the body. Hence, you can say that this rhythmic contraction and expansion of various chambers of the heart maintains the transport of oxygen to all different parts of the body. So, this rhythmic contraction and expansion of the various chambers, that is the ventricles, right and left ventricles, left and right atrium, all the various chambers of the heart helps to maintain the transport of oxygen to all parts of the body. And as you know, children, that the circulatory system is made up of heart, blood vessels and blood. So the heart portion is completed, and now we will know about the blood vessels. Okay, what are blood vessels? What are blood vessels? Blood vessels are the network of tube that transports the blood to the entire body. So children, the function of blood is to reach each and every part of the body. Now the question is that how the blood is able to circulate or move in the entire part of the body. The blood vessels helps in doing so. Blood vessels help the blood to move in each and every parts of the body. With the help of these blood vessels, the blood is able to move to all parts of the body. Blood vessels are of three types, that is arteries, veins and capillaries. Arteries, veins and capillaries. Arteries, number 2 is veins, and the number 3 is capillaries. So now, arteries, what is the function of arteries? Arteries always carry oxygen-rich blood. Oxygen-rich blood. Okay, arteries always carry oxygen-rich blood from where? From the heart to different parts of the body. That is, arteries carry the blood from the heart to different parts of the body. To different parts of the body. Now, as blood flows through the arteries at high pressure, the blood always flowing in the arteries, it is at higher pressure. That's why they are thick elastic. They are thick and elastic so that they may not get burst. When the blood is flowing at higher pressure, it may not get burst. That's why it is thick and elastic. The arteries branch out into smaller tubes which is known as capillaries. Okay? Now, when they enter the different organs of the body. So, what happens? Arteries branches into different smaller tubes while passing through different organs of the body, and these tubes are known as capillaries. So capillaries come together and form veins. Capillaries combines together and forms veins. Thus, blood enters an organs through the arteries, get distributed, collects various substances from the organs and then moves out of it through the veins. Now what is veins? We will know a little bit about veins also. That what are veins? Veins carry the oxygen deficient, or you can say the carbon dioxide rich blood. Carbon dioxide rich blood. So, and carbon dioxide rich blood back to the heart also. Veins carry the carbon dioxide rich blood back to the heart. That is from different parts of the body to the heart. Here you see what are the differences between arteries and veins. Arteries, what does it do? It carries the blood from the heart to different parts of the body, whereas veins carry the blood from different parts of the body to the heart. Okay, and arteries always carry oxygen rich blood, whereas veins carry carbon dioxide rich blood. So here children, you see that blood enters an organs through the arteries, it gets distributed and then it collects various substances from that organ and then move out of it through the veins. So veins are comparatively having thinner walls. Veins are comparatively having thinner walls. As we have seen in artery section that veins are having thick walls, arteries are having thick walls, whereas veins are having thinner walls. And then what happens? In vein, the bloods are flowing at lower pressure, whereas in arteries, the blood is flowing at high pressure. Veins have valves that stop the backflow of blood. That is, it allows only unidirectional movement. Hence, blood flows in one direction only, that is, towards the heart only, from different parts of the body to the heart. Now, that's all about blood vessels, and now we will know about blood also, that is the third part of the circulatory system, but we will learn more about blood in our next class. That's all for today children. Thank you.